Good evening, everyone. I'm Ravi Vishwakarma from JLU Media Fest, and today's personality with us is the editor of ANI. Yes, the editor of ANI and one of the most popular journalists in India, Mrs. Smita Prakash, ma'am. Ma'am, very good evening and welcome to our university. Ma'am, my first question to you will be, how was your interaction with our students?
Thank you very much for having me over. I was fascinated. As soon as I entered, it's such a beautiful campus, and I kind of enjoyed talking to all of you. It was nice. I've been to campuses where I've spoken to empty halls, waiting for students to arrive, and very often I've seen students looking at their cell phones when I'm speaking, and I always come back thinking, was my talk so boring, or was it like they've heard this so many times? But fortunately today, I kind of appreciated that everybody sat through and listened to what I had to say. I hope it was because they could relate to what I was speaking.
Ma'am, working in this industry for 3 decades. So, ma'am, how it is like to work in this industry? And one more question I would like to add with it: that were you influenced by your father, respected father, as he was the former director of Ministry of Information?
Yes, to some extent. I think your family and the social upbringing, your family values, all that matters when you make career choices. So it's quite natural that if your parents are lawyers, you'll tend to move towards that profession. If your parents are medical practitioners, you would tend to move towards that. But my father was working in the government media department, so it wasn't as if there was a career path laid out for me. I had to get a job as soon as I finished studying, but I always wanted to be a journalist. So even though my parents were not too keen, they wanted me to join the civil service, but I wanted to be a journalist all along, and I've never regretted it. There are times it's very challenging, let me tell you, as you grow older and there are new platforms that come in, like, we were talking about Google, pre-Google and post-Google, and when we got into journalism, there was no Google, right? And when Google came in, I had already put in several years as a journalist. So what we did was, we did not allow trainee journalists on their computers to have Google. So there were no laptops, there were only desktops, and हमने Google हटा दिया था वहाँ से, क्योंकि हमने कहा कि तुम लोग जाके वो मेहनत नहीं करोगे information लेने के लिए, सीधा Google से ले लोगे. We were so short-sighted, because we thought they didn't have the maturity to understand कि Google में all kinds of information is available. तुम उसमें से झूठ क्या है, सच क्या है, निकाल नहीं सकोगे, देख नहीं सकोगे, परख नहीं सकोगे. So we made that mistake. We learned from our mistakes. That kids these days know that WhatsApp journalism कुछ और होता है and Google journalism कुछ और है, and they know how to to know fact from fiction. So I think journalists today are smarter than what we were when we started out.
Ma'am, being a journalist, you have reported stories from India to Japan and US as well. So, ma'am, what is the difference you see when you are reporting for India or reporting for a foreign agency?
Well, it's very complicated when you report for foreign news, because you have to see things from their perspective. Today we are a more connected world, so I don't need to inform them. When I say Mumbai, I don't need to say financial capital of India. People know it is the financial capital of India. Whereas 10 years ago, you had to explain it. But you need to explain where Kerala is located, where Nagaland is located. You need to explain that we have a multi-party democracy in India, because it depends on which channel you're working for. If you're reporting for, say, South Africa, they don't have that much information about our political systems as they have probably in the UK, who are, the viewers are more knowledgeable about India, simply because Indian news has been going on in there. So it's a little complicated in how you report for foreign networks.
Ma'am, any behavior difference you see in the agencies? Like India has grown now. Like before 10 years, it was not that much developed. So any change of behavior in the agencies with the growth of the country?
Are you talking about news agencies, news related stuff, news channels?
Yes, ma'am, especially news.
So what happens is that as far as reporting is concerned, it keeps changing. It changes every year. It changes with every format. So it becomes more immediate. The challenges become more and more because your viewers are changing. The attention span becomes lesser because more channels, more newspapers, more you have digital, you have traditional media. So the space becomes larger. The competition makes your ability to cope with it more and more tough, but the opportunities also increase.
Ma'am, as you are talking about opportunities, so ma'am, how do you see the future of media, especially the broadcast media? Like many of our budding journalist students have this question: what is the future of India, especially in broadcast, not only in India but over the world?
Well, I think in about 10 years ago, everybody was like, oh, newspapers are dying. The old form of, getting up in the morning, reading the newspaper and sipping your tea and reading the newspaper, that world is changing, so newspapers are going to die. But that didn't happen, right? Newspapers found a way. They became digital. So there are many people who are saying, even in digital, people are going to YouTube. People are getting news from Facebook. कौन जाएगा? What will happen to Times of India? What will happen to Hindustan Times? What will happen to Dainik Bhaskar, Dainik Jagran? But what happens? Tell me. Suppose Imran Khan has been deposed and a new government is in Pakistan. Where are you going to get the news from? Are you going to see it only on WhatsApp? No, right? You're going to go into Geo TV, Sama TV. You're going to see the big TV and Dawn newspaper. You're going to see it in the reputed, respected outlets and the digital format of that. So same way, if today you come to know that Indian Prime Minister is traveling to attend a EU summit, European Union summit, वो क्या बात करने वाले हैं, वहाँ जाके क्या इश्यूज होंगी, वो आप कहाँ से पता करोगे? फेसबुक से थोड़ी ना पता करोगे. You're not going to go into YouTube to get the information. You're going to go into Times of India, Dainik Bhaskar, Dainik Jagran. You're going to go into these places to see प्रधानमंत्री क्या बात करने वाले हैं, क्या टॉपिक्स होंगी, उनके सामने क्या चैलेंजेस होंगी जब वो जाने वाले हैं. तो so I think newspapers have people who are looking at the future, and I think as journalists who are getting into this profession, I think you have a number of outlets, and including traditional media.
Ma'am, our like tagline for this media fest was reimagining media in the hyper connected world. So ma'am, it's nearly 3 decades we have introduced the private news channels, but I see that the media is normally Delhi centric. Like what is happening in the east, they do not report it, and what is happening in the south, like even if they are reporting, बहुत कम मैम, बहुत ही like bulletins में निकाल देते हैं उन न्यूज़ को. तो मैम वो चेंज कब आएगा?
वो चेंज व्यूअर्स जब तक चेंज नहीं करेंगे ना, तब तक टीवी चैनल्स भी नहीं चेंज करेंगे. आप मुझे बताइए, हम लोग कवर करते हैं कि छत्तीसगढ़ में नक्सल एरिया में अब वो नक्सल्स हट गए हैं, वहाँ पे रोड बना रहे हैं. ठीक है, हमने स्टोरी की कि वहाँ रोड बना. जब रोड बना तो स्कूल के बच्चे जो इस तरफ से जंगल पार उस तरफ जाके दे आर गोइंग एंड अटेंडिंग स्कूल्स, दे हैव स्टार्टेड अटेंडिंग स्कूल्स. तो पहले नहीं होता था, उनके माँ बाप के जनरेशन में नहीं हुआ, उनके दादा दादी के जनरेशन में नहीं हुआ. हमने स्टोरी की, हमने इतना खर्चा किया, रिपोर्टर को उस जंगल के एरिया में भेजा, गाड़ी गई इन अ रिस्की एरिया किया. आप घर में बैठ के क्या वो स्टोरी देखेंगे? दूसरी तरफ दूसरे चैनल पे रणबीर आलिया की शादी हो रही है, आप क्या चैनल नहीं चेंज करेंगे? चेंज करेंगे ना. तो जब तक आप उस स्टोरी को नहीं देखेंगे, तब तक वो जो एडिटर है जो वहाँ बैठा हुआ है न्यूज़ चैनल में, नोएडा में बैठा है, राइट, वो क्या बोलेगा? वो गएगा रणबीर आलिया की शादी लगाओ, है ना. वो तो वही करेगा, अरे इमरान गाली दे रहा है इंडिया को, वो लगाओ. वो तो नहीं लगाएगा ना छत्तीसगढ़ की स्टोरी. तो जब तक व्यूअर्स अपने इलाके की स्टोरीज को नहीं देखेंगे, नहीं परखेंगे, नहीं इंटरेस्टेड होंगे, तब तक क्यों न्यूज़ चैनल दिखाएगा? और न्यूज़ चैनल वही दिखाएगा, रोज रोज डिबेट्स दिखाएंगे जहाँ हिंदू मुस्लिम की स्टोरीज चलेंगी, गालियाँ होंगी, और एंड देन एवरीबडी ब्लेम्स द मीडिया. बट द पॉइंट इज यू आर सिटिंग एंड वॉचिंग दैट ना. डोंट वॉच इट.
Ma'am, as you are running out of time and you have a busy schedule, one last question, ma'am. Nearly every student, like, हर मीडिया स्पेशली मीडिया जो हमारा ब्लॉक है उसका ये क्वेश्चन है कि विल ANI visit us during the internships?
Anytime you want. I'm going to leave my information with Dr. Shastri and with Shukla ji. Anytime you want, please apply to us. And as I said to you, you know, that jitna aap apne, please focus a lot on making your resume. People do not pay attention to writing resumes. वो they don't update their resume. 2 महीने बाद आपने अगर कुछ और सीख लिया है अपने resume में वो लिखिए. Get everything involved in that. If you, for example, if you're interested in music, what kind of music, put it out there. Don't think कि मैं music क्यों लिखूं, मैं तो journalism की job के लिए apply कर रहा हूँ, music क्यों लिखूं. Who knows ना, I may be looking out for my entertainment section जिसमें मुझे music की journalism के लिए चाहिए. आप सोच रहे हो आपको political journalism, get into music, you might get into entertainment और आप 3 महीने entertainment करके ANI में आप political journalism कर लोगे. आप narrow minded सोच लेकर रेज्यूमे मत बनाइए. रेज्यूमे इज एक्सट्रीमली इंपॉर्टेंट. जो आप रेज्यूमे में लिखते हैं उस वो हम हाउ मच टाइम डज ईच ऑफ अस हैव? वी हैव अबाउट 30 seconds to 40 seconds व्हेन वी रीड योर रेज्यूमे. HR डिपार्टमेंट में अच्छी फोटो लगाइए. अपनी फोटो आप जरूर लगाइए, बिना फोटो के नहीं चलता. क्लियर लैंग्वेज में, एंड इफ यू मेक ग्रामेटिकल मिस्टेक्स इन योर रेज्यूमे, चाहे इंग्लिश हो या हिंदी हो, इफ यू मेक ग्रामेटिकल मिस्टेक्स इन योर रेज्यूमे, वो सीधा गार्बेज बिन में जाएगा. आपको जॉब नहीं मिलने वाला. आप वहीं से आप सीखने लग जाओ कि रेज्यूमे में आप कोई भी मिस्टेक नहीं बनाओगे. आप फोटो अच्छी डालोगे, आप अपने सारे इंटरेस्ट को, करिकुलर इंटरेस्ट को लिखोगे, लैंग्वेज सीखो. गो, इफ यू हैव डन इंग्लिश, लर्न हिंदी. एज आई कीप सेइंग, learn languages, learn to put information about yourself out there, and don't think कि मैंने ज्यादा लिख लिया. आप जितना ज्यादा लिखोगे उसके लिए बेनिफिट होगा आपके लिए.
Ma'am, thank you for giving us the interview. So this was one of the most popular journalists from India, Mrs. Smita Prakash ma'am. You are watching Lakecity Live with camera person Samad Haider Khan, Ravi Vishwakarma, JLU.